All right, it has been a while since I picked up my GoPro. As you can see behind me here, car's on the lift. I just finished welding up a trailer for my dad for our used oil for the furnace. But tonight I just went ahead and so I'm gonna grab a flashlight here. There isn't one. Oh, here's one. Went ahead and put in my BMR torque plate or torque box reinforcement. I got the bolted ones because I didn't want to mess with having to weld in a bunch, cut out basically the whole rear floor and weld in new torque plates. But if you can see here, I don't know what you could see, but there's two plates that go in inside the car, like in the cabin, above this area, like directly above. You can see it's bolted. So it takes two plates and it sandwiches them together with the car in between, so it gives it a lot sturdier point for torque to be on the chassis and whatnot, and like the twisting and the torsion of the axle on the chassis with all the force and stuff. Not like this thing's going to be that fast or anything, but Fox bodies are notorious for ripping the torque mounts out, the torque boxes out. So these are pretty cool. It mounts on the upper shock mount, or not the shock mount, the upper control arm for the rear end. These two pieces mount together on the upper mount there to the body, and it comes up. Don't mind my terrible welds. I'm gonna not re-weld, but weld this more because those are real boogery. But it puts a lot of the weight here, and it holds it together with the bar in the middle. So it's really just a lot stiffer of a setup, I guess, and it makes it a lot stronger, so nothing's gonna rip out, and especially being a stick car, it's really gonna tear it up. Oh, this thing just looks sick on the lift. But next thing, taking the gas tank out here, hopefully sometime this week. Depending on, I've got a bunch of fittings I ordered from, I think it's Evil Energy on Amazon. But if those come in, hopefully by the end of the week, I don't even know if they've shipped yet, but if they do, I'll be able to do the fuel system from the tank to the firewall. So then I can pretty much be done under the car. The only other thing I might do is I have some rust spots that need repaired. So here's one, driver footwell. Doesn't look too hot. You can see, but there is a hole there. And then over here on the driver footwell as well, it's looking pretty bad. But other than that, the only other serious rust is the trunk. Well, and then there's this hole right here in the rocker. But as far as stuff that's like dangerous, I'm gonna try and, well, not dangerous, but could eventually be dangerous. But that's pretty much it for the time being. Probably finish welding those in tomorrow. I might do another update, see if we get anything in the mail. Ordered a new laptop. Should be here before Wednesday, and that I'll use that for tuning and stuff for this and my RSX. But another cool tidbit, little thing, interesting thing here. Value City ad. It was under the seat in my LTD. It's from 1993. And just look at the clothes these people got on. And look at this stuff. Look at this dude up here. Pulled up. All the loafers. There's all kinds of stuff in this. But it's definitely interesting to see something you know, from 93 and the prices of some of this stuff, like a vacuum for 60 bucks, you know, like stuff like that. It's just funny to see. Have the coils out right now. I was welding in the, you can see it's welded in and undercoated on those now, so they're nice and good. Got the bar up in there. You see I started painting. I've been putting some Pour 15 back here. The rest of the floor I put some spray on Duplicolor undercoating that I think I got it at Meyer. It was like 13 bucks, and it's supposed to be really good undercoating. It's like rubberized kind of stuff. Well, I don't know about really good, but it's, you know, and it's supposed to have like some kind of sound deadening built into it or something. So I put a can of that on the floor, and then I put a can of some 3M rubberized undercoating on the floor pan, in the spots that's not too rusty. And then obviously I left it off in the spots where I'm going to be doing the subframe connectors. So you kind of end up doing a bunch of custom stuff, and a good example of that is going to be my subframe connectors, which I will be talking about right now. So I bought these BBK Mustang GT subframe connectors for an 86. They actually are long enough, they would work, but the problem with that is, I'm gonna have to lift this up, is that they're not, they just won't work because the floor in the rear comes down too low and won't allow the subframe connector to clamp on this torque box piece like it needs to. So I was talking with my dad, and what I originally wanted to do, I'm gonna have to get a flashlight, but since this is a longer wheelbase than the normal Foxes, there's actually a space between the front of the torque box and the back of the floor, or back of the cabin, whatever you want to call it. Let me grab a flashlight here. If you look, you can see here is the back of the floor. There's the frame, and then there's the front of the torque box. So my original plan was to stick a piece in this corner and then make a bend on a tube and have the tubing go to the front to be my subframe connector. And I think that'd be a really good idea and really strong, and I think it'd work out really well. But the problem with that is I don't have a bender personally. I know some people that have benders. I could probably make it happen, but my dad is currently recovering from a knee replacement, and he's getting very eager to work on his car. And I don't want to do subframe connectors on the ground, so I'm going to change my plan here and do an easier solution that still will be really strong and allow me to get the car out of his way sooner, so we both can be working on our cars together. So what I'm thinking is, it's kind of his idea actually. Instead of doing the tube that bends up, having a tube that goes from here, from there, and with just like pieces on the side, like this, to connect it to the frame and bring it up front and do the same. And this seems like a good idea for the middle ground, instead of like trying to get complicated with it and do something crazy. I mean, it's not going to be a high horsepower build. I don't plan on rocking this thing out till it's like 1200 horsepower or something. I just want a cool car that can do cool stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. But right now I'm going to focus on grinding some paint off that I just painted on not too long ago, and putting in the supports or the reinforcements for the torque box that I was going to do. Even though I'm not going to put the, so I got these here, these 90-degree pieces. So even though I'm not doing the torque box subframe connectors right there, I'm going to put this up here in the corner to connect the frame to the front of the torque box, just to make it that much stronger. Because, you know, if anything, connecting more pieces of the chassis always makes the car stronger and stiffer, can help it handle better, and can just help it keep it together longer. I mean, you know, being a car from the 80s, this thing's like a tin can, worse than a Civic. So, I'm going to go ahead and get on grinding that down. I'll probably time-lapse it, so you guys can join me. Alright. So I just did some grinding, as you can see in my time-lapse there. When I grinded this down, it's not perfect, but grounded all the paint off that I just put on. Of course, I'm going to weld this in. And hopefully that will at least make the front of the torque box a little stronger. A lot of people cut out the whole torque box. A friend of mine, Eddie, shout out the home dog. Oftentimes you cut out the whole thing and you buy a weld-in replacement. And I really didn't want to go that far because I don't plan on getting too rowdy with this car with power. So I think what I'm doing here, I think will hold for everything I'm going to need with this car, because this car is awesome and I love it, but I really don't want to get too crazy, because building a 5.4, building any 4-valve mod motor that Ford makes is rather expensive, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with building a car. And in reality, I really would like to experience more cars before I lock myself down like that. So that's the plan. I'm going to start up another time lapse and start getting this in there.